G'day guys, welcome to this super simple tutorial on single point perspective. I'm going to show you some of the basics. Before that, did myself up for you. Button shirt, did my hair. Didn't iron the shirt. Next time. Anyway, single point perspective, let's get into it. Right, so the first thing you want to determine is the camera angle that you're going to go with, because that will change where your horizon line will actually sit on the page. Got a cheeky little demo for you. Take a look at this. Okay, so this dirty, dusty little fellow is Dante from Devil May Cry, one of my favourite video game series. And up the back, the edge of my drawing table is going to be our imaginary horizon line. So if we are basically on his eye level, you can see the horizon line sits roughly the center of the frame. But then if we were to go for a higher camera angle looking down at him, you can see the horizon line actually moves up toward the top of the frame. And then if we were to go for a lower camera angle, you can see the camera angle, the horizon line comes down to lower in the frame. So picking your camera angle will determine where your horizon line sits in the frame. Isn't he cool? Yes, he is. Now, just to clarify, when I talk about the camera angle, I'm not talking about the camera altitude. So it's not the actual height of the camera that determines your horizon line, but the pitch. So whether the camera is looking down, whether it's looking up, or whether it's looking straight ahead. Just to clarify that. Okay. Perspective. For this, we're going to keep it nice and simple. I've set the horizon line roughly middle of the page. So our camera angle is not going to be particularly looking up or looking down. It's basically going to be looking straight ahead. So we've set our horizon line. Next thing is to set our vanishing point. Bomb. Easy done. So your vanishing point is the point at which everything traveling toward the horizon will vanish out of sight. So basically we set a single point. For the single point perspective, you've got a single vanishing point. So anything heading in the direction of the horizon is going to this point here. What we have here is two buildings sketched into the scene. We've got one that is lower than our eye line, the horizon line, and one that is actually taller. Now you can see all the verticals, and these lines here that are not, any lines that are not moving toward our vanishing point, they all remain parallel to each other in their respective directions. However, the lines that are traveling toward our vanishing point, obviously there's a greater space between them here than there is here, as they are all moving toward that point. On this building over here, we have elements that are below the horizon line, and we have elements that are above. And so obviously down here, the lines are moving upward toward our vanishing point, and then as it gets to above the horizon line, they start to move down toward the vanishing point there. That is in fact the basics of single point perspective. So with this building here being below the horizon line, which is essentially our viewing height, our eye line, you can see the roof, because we would essentially be above this building, whereas this building here is taller than us, so obviously we cannot see the roof on this one. There we go, so that's another little point. So I'm not very well set up with the camera and everything, so bear with the shakiness of it all. But now that we've established the basics of single point perspective, we have our horizon line and we have our vanishing point. As long as we stick to this vanishing point, we can't go wrong when we are working with the perspective. So I can essentially sketch a building in here freehand. It's going to be rough as guts. So this face is facing us, so there is no vanishing going on whatsoever. However, the sides of the building that travel away from us, travel toward the vanishing point on the horizon line, they all move toward our vanishing point there, as you can see, roughly, super roughly. So we could position a building anywhere on this in this scene, and as long as we stick to our vanishing point, remember this is single point perspective, then we can't go wrong. Everything will look as it should do. Wow, that's so rough. Hopefully that helps though. So that's the basics of single point perspective, and when I say the basics, that is it. Because single point perspective is very basic. You set your horizon line, you set your vanishing point, you stick to your vanishing point, and you can't go wrong. Hopefully your picture will end up looking a bit nicer than this travesty, but it's right, it works. Anyway, that's single point perspective. I'm going to do another one on double and 3-point perspective, which is where things start to look really impressive. So hopefully this is of interest to you. If not, why have you even watched this much of the video? Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. If you're bored by this, but you watched it for me, wow, okay. Thank you. Anyway, there we go. Single point perspective. Easy done.